Well, we defined it, okay, and it seemed to hint at that it was a belief. There has to be a belief. If you don't believe in a God, or any God exists, okay, you have a belief. It's not like a belief system, it's just a belief that there is no God. There's no God and no gods, or any gods. Okay? You've determined it in your mind that there is no God, or no gods. An atheist is not primarily a person who believes that a God does not exist, rather he does not believe in the existence of a God. Let's go have a look at the word again. And let's define it, because that's what they're doing, they're defining it. Atheist. Atheist defined. We'll put the D. What does it say? Atheist is a naming word. A person who does not believe in the existence of a God or any gods. Believe. He does not believe. One who subscribes to or advocates atheism. Atheism, Wikipedia. Writers disagree on how best to define and classify atheism, contesting what supernatural entities are considered gods, whether atheism is a philosophical position in its own right, or merely the absence of one, or a god, and whether it requires a conscious explicit rejection, etc., etc. Cambridge Dictionary. Someone who does not believe in any god or gods, or who believes that no god or god exists. Britannica. This is a 250-year-old encyclopedia. Atheism in general, the critique and denial of metaphysical beliefs in God or spiritual beings. Anything God related. As such, it is usually distinguished from theism, which affirms the reality of the divine and often seeks to demonstrate its existence. Atheism is also distinguished from agnosticism. It makes it different, which leaves open the question of whether there is a God or not, professing to find the question unanswered, etc., etc. Atheist.org. Atheism is one thing, a lack of belief in gods. It's from atheist.org. Atheism is one thing, a lack of belief in gods. So they don't believe that there's gods or a god. Atheism is not an affirmative belief that there is no God, nor does it answer any other question about what a person believes. It is simply a rejection of the assertion that there are gods. So it's contradictory, isn't it? If it says atheism is not an affirmative belief, or a fixed belief, or a determined belief that there is no God, nor does it answer any other question about what a person believes. It is simply a rejection of the assertion that there are gods, a god or any gods, right? It's saying to you one thing, that it's not an affirmative belief that there is no God, yet here it says it's simply a rejection of the assertion that there are gods. It's a rejection. It's like saying, no, we don't believe there's any God or gods. And it goes, atheism is too often defined incorrectly as a belief system. Yeah, that's right, it's not a belief system, but it's something they believe in. It's not like religion, like Christianity or whatever. That's a belief system. Yeah. And then it goes on to say it's not a disbelief in gods. What did it say up here? That there is no God. A rejection of assertion that there are gods. And Christians telling you there's definitely God. They're like, no, there is no God. Okay. There are as many reasons for being an atheist as there are atheists. The road to atheism tends to be very personal and individual, based upon the specific circumstances of a person's life, experiences and attitudes. Nevertheless, it is possible to describe some general similarities which tend to be common among quite a few atheists. So at some point you may make a choice. It sounds all confusing, it sounds contradictory. I don't believe in God because of that basis, on that basis, so I'm an atheist. This is what But the Ehrman said when he explained himself, when he was asked to define for us why he called himself an agnostic atheist, and he gave that definition, which is really weird, but he's agnostic. It's like wasn't really sure that there was a God, right? And then he decided he said there is no God because it's all contradictory, all that sort of stuff. He didn't believe there was no God. He didn't believe there was a God. He didn't believe in God. Basically, that's what he's saying, right? So he's combined the two, but they're two different definitions. One is he's not really sure. He doesn't have that knowledge. He doesn't know. He's on the fence in regards to God, but then being an atheist, admitting he's an atheist, says, "Oh, I don't believe in God," or he doesn't believe in God anymore. So he doesn't believe in God, right? What is atheism? Define atheism. Atheism defined. The word atheism comes from the negative a, which means no, and theos, which means God. So that's Greek, right? From the Greek, which means God. Which means no, and theos, which means God in the Greek. Since atheism is the most basic term, means no God. Basically, atheism is the lack of belief in a God and or the belief that there is a God. That atheism is the lack of belief in a God and or the belief that there is no God. There you go. There's certainly very, very more many other definitions. So let's go have a look at the etymology, the origin of the word. We looked at this and defined it, explained it in our previous video. 1570s, a godless person, one who denies the existence of a supreme intelligent being to whom moral obligation is due. From the French atheiste, 16th century, from Greek atheos, without God, denying the gods, abandon of the gods, godless, ungodly, from a or a, without, and theos, a god, so they're without a god. Without a god. He's got a little note here. The existence, or quote, the existence of a world without God seems to me less absurd than the presence of a God existing in all its perfection, creating an imperfect man in order to make him run the risk of hell. Aman Salacro, Certitudes et Incertitudes, 1943. Okay, here's the prefix meaning not, without, or without. Prefix meaning not or without. From Greek and not, the alpha privative. Okay. So they have no God, or they're without God. So there you have it. Yeah. So we've defined theism. What's theism? Pretty sure we defined that. Let's have a look. If it helps. Theism, definition and meaning, Merriam-Webster. The meaning of theism is belief in the existence of God or gods. So, Atheism would be a belief that a god or gods don't exist. A belief in the non-existence of a god or any gods. This would probably be what it means. Okay. Theism, religion, Britannica. Theism, the view that all limited or finite things are dependent in some way on one supreme or ultimate reality, of which one may also speak in personal terms. In Judaism, Christianity and Islam, this ultimate reality is often called God. And the article explores approaches to theism in Western theology and philosophy. Theism's view of God can be clarified by contrasting it with those of deism. And there's more definitions of theism. Now, the doctrine or belief in the existence of a god or gods. What is a theist? What is theism? Types of theism. What is theism? There's many definitions, or dictionaries with the definition. Anti-theism, also spelled anti-theism, is a philosophical position that theism should be opposed. The term has had a range of applications in secular contexts. If it typically refers to direct opposition to the belief in any deity. So the Greek is no or without, and theos is God. So these are godless, those who abandon the gods, etc., etc. You have to define it to fully understand it. But as this person said, no, you can't do that, you just got to read this book. Yeah, good to see, good to read both, and realise both sides of the coin. Yeah, makes you think. Does God exist? Maybe God doesn't exist. Where's the evidence? Etc., etc. So that's part one. Well, that's the end of this particular video. Hopefully it wasn't too long. Where we looked at this book about atheism as suggested. We probably will do a part two because it's quite an interesting book. So if you enjoyed it, subscribe to our channel, give us a like, add your comments below, keep them nice, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And then go share this video with your family, friends, neighbours and others who perhaps are puzzled what exactly is an atheist.